Not only is he the king of cars, but he's actually now an author. You're going to meet George Barris today on Backstage. We have a legend right here, George Barris, king of customizing cars for stars. George, what a life.
Well, I've been blessed, I got to say that. For a young guy that started out at 13 years old, I was blessed because I was able to do my 1925 Buick into a custom car. So then they made me a legend. I was kind of like what you call a pioneer, where I'd take 4950 Mercuries and chop them, and I'd take shoe boxes and section them and make them look really cute and funny. And we won the Grand National Roadster Show for 5 years in a row with all our cars, but they were wild looking. But the interesting part about it is that today we're in the 21st century. So now that I pioneered cars way back in the 40s and 50s, this is the 2000s, and I'm getting more excited about taking cars and customizing them for our age group. Like we're all only 39 now.
Of course, of course. And then you moved quickly into the movies and the Batmobile. Who does not recognize the Batmobile?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Actually, when I started TV, it was in 1960 with the Beverly Hillbillies. From the Beverly Hillbillies, we went into the Munsters. Munsters, we went into Batman, then the Monkees, and then the Green Hornet, and then the Flintstones, and then the Dukes of Hazzard, and then the Knight Riders, and on up the ladder of doing many, 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 many cars for TV and motion pictures.
Right. Now, moving into the stars. It was a big deal back then, right? When you were a star to have a custom-made car by George Barris.
Yeah, well, the celebrities all started liking what I did for the movies. They said, well, hey, how about doing one for me? Like the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis. They all said, what are you going to do for me, George? Well, I said, Sammy, we got some dual gears. Well, it was a real funny story. When I did Frank Sinatra's dual gear, he come in one day and he said, George, will you black out all the windows? I don't like people looking at me when I'm going to the studio. I said, but Frank Sinatra says you black out windows, you black them out. So we blacked them out. Next morning, he comes driving in. Hey, George. Hey, Frank, how you doing? What's happening? He said, you know what? He says, you were right. I couldn't see last night. I hate to tell you the word that he used, but...
And the women, too, loved it. I noticed Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett, Bo Derek. I had a book I just finished, and Bo Derek, she actually forwarded the book. When I do a car for a celebrity, I do spend time. When I went and did Sonny and Cher, my wife and I at that time, we went to their home, and we were getting ready to do a movie, and we brought in a Mustang, and Cher said, well, I want it to be hot pink, white patent leather, and white fur. Sonny looks at me, I'm not going to drive no pink Mustang. I said, okay. He says, I want bobcat fur, I want suede, I want that. So what did I do? I built a his and hers. Built one for each one of them.
And saved their marriage.
And saved their marriage. So that shows you what we do in the movie industry when you get involved with all this type of things. Even the stunts we got to do when we did the Knight Rider. We had to make jumps and do things like that. And of course the Dukes of Hazzard with John Snyder. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, but okay, now we're jumping into the 21st century. Do you still make cars for the stars? And has the industry and have you changed?
I'm getting into more of this. What would be more of an interest? Hybrids. Prius hybrids. And I started doing those Prius hybrids, and I said, wow, Brad Pitt's got one, DiCaprio's got one, Bo got one, Nancy said, everybody now wants to drive a hybrid. Then I did the opposite, and I made a Challenger, a Dodge Challenger. I made it into a hot muscle car with Sanderson out of Dallas, Texas. 750 horse. What a difference between driving a hybrid and a 750 horse. Took carbon fiber, wrapped the whole car in carbon fiber, 24-inch wheels on it, had open doors, vertical doors, painted in a wild, and we call it the Red Demon.
Oh.
I like pleasing people, making them happy. That's why I come to shows. I spend more time going to shows every weekend. We're a family-run business. My daughter runs the company. My son does all the computer graphics. And now my grandson's kind of coming in. He just finally masked off and got ready to do my new hybrid that I'm doing for myself.
Oh.
So it's a family thing.
Family affair.
Yeah, very, very important.
Yes.
I want to tell you a little story quickly.
Okay.
You know, everybody always asks me, of all the celebrities you ever did any work for, which one was the nicest? There was a young man came in, I was doing a limousine for him. He'd come in, and he'd go right away to my men that worked for me. And my painter was with me for 35 years. He kind of told me, we call him Mr. Tubbs. And he said, Mr. Tubbs, I heard you were sick last week. Then he went to my metal man, Mr. Tony, your 14-year-old boy is probably getting pretty big. What I'm trying to tell you is that he knew everything about everybody that works for me and called him Mr. and Sir. And that young man was Elvis Presley.
So what was the story about the Batmobile?
Well, the Batmobile was actually when Dozier called me and he said, I want a crime fighter, 20th century crime fighter in 1966. So I said, well, let me see your script. So I go over there and I go and look at it. It's gone, pow, bang, wow. I said, well, gee whiz, I got to make a car do what you're doing. So when it went pow, out went the chain slicer. Bang, went rocket tubes and oil squirters.
Yeah.
So I made the car become an actor. And that's why here it is, 40, 50 years later, still the #1 most popular car in the world.
The Batmobile.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that your pictures are part of an exhibition at the Winnipeg Art Gallery dedicated to Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That relationship, how did you manage to capture those
Well,
photographs?
I got together with Marilyn. I did a Chrysler 300 for her. I did a Lincoln for her, and she liked cars. And the beach scenes was of her in her natural habitat that she was a part of. Not a lot of makeup, very low-key, loved the beach, loved to be able to be just Marilyn, and that's the way I visualized her as her part of her life.
Well, we are so fortunate and so happy
Thank you
to
very
have
much.
met you. George Barris, the man. Go out and get his book.
Yeah, just click in Barris.com, and you can click and see all kinds of goodies we're doing.
Oh, thanks so much. For Shaw TV, I'm Tracy Koga.
We have a special visitor here today from California, and that would be none other than legendary customizer George Barris. George, thanks for coming to World of Wheels.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's always a thrill to come to Canada because basically your Canadian car guys are really car culture, wonderful people to be with. And I spent a lot of time coming to the different places. We've been to Vancouver, London, Ontario, Toronto, and I kind of like Winnipeg. I got a good friend over here, Peter Nygaard, who drives one of my Excaliburs. So it's fun, but the car show is absolutely unbelievable. The cars are just gorgeous, and the car culture is gorgeous. And I'll tell you one thing, and I've been to a lot of shows for the whole year now, and the economy doesn't bother car people because they get to enjoy a day looking at cars and being a part of the car world, which is really all of us.
Well, we all find a way to put them together, and especially 6 months of winter helps us up here in Canada.
Yeah, well, look at today. I mean, I come in last night, a couple of days now, everybody said there was more snow than you ever had in history. And we were down in California. Our weather went down to about 80. Mm-hmm. So you got to see, I'm kind of nudging you a little bit. So,
well, what's 80?
So California, whatever it is, but we just happened to be, I did a lot of movies. I went in from Beverly Hillbillies to the Batman to the Monkees and the Munsters and the General Lee, the Dukes of Hazzards and the Knight Riders and some of the James Bonds. So it's kind of fun for me because I've been in the car industry for so many years, of course, pioneering chopped Mercuries and section shoeboxes to now, here we are in the 21st century. And everybody said, well, what are you doing now? Mm-hmm. I said, we're 21st century. That means we're taking cars in the 2000s, like I took a Mustang Cobra supercharged, made it into a pickup. I took my GTO, made it into a two-door hot rod.
Well, what about hybrids?
And that's what we slid right into hybrid. I went from another Challenger, 750 horse, all wrapped in carbon fiber, right into a hybrid. I did the Prius hybrids, one for Brad Pitt, one for Nancy Sinatra, one for Bo Derek. So the celebrities love hybrids as much as they do muscle cars. So you can see the 21st century is really exciting, just as it was when we were doing Mercuries and shoeboxes in the 40s and 50s.
Well, I understand you did a 32 Deuce with a hybrid powertrain.
Yeah, we've actually taken a 32 frame, 32 body. I pulled the Prius power, put it in the back, put the 32 body on it. Then I took a powered steering Mustang front end. Now I got quadro steering. Now not only quadro steering, I got the batteries in the front. Now I went and sculptured the front end, Prowler fenders, 24-inch wheels, wrap around, headrests, and now you'll see a cute hybrid 32 Ford retro steering, going around a circle, and still being a hybrid.
Well, that's great because also, too, I mean, people are certainly in mind of ecology and wanting to make sure we're not damaging the planet anymore. So it's great to see that you're doing something like that.
Well, you'll find that the automotive industry will always make expansion to try other things. That's why we have a hybrid. That's why we got electric-powered car. That's why we got guys in racing that shows muscle cars and performance, like Sanderson does out of Dallas, Texas, who does the Challengers, as well as Shelby, who makes the Mustang. So we see that the car people are just a wonderful group of different types of cars.
Well, can we get a little bit of a hint of what's on the drawing board right now at Barris Customs?
Well, I've taken I'm doing a new movie. It's not new, it's a sequel to Mad, Mad, Mad World, which
Great.
is a Stanley Kromer picture, and it's going to be the wildest chase in the history of motion picture on land, sea, and air with Karen Kramer. So you're going to see some exciting looking automobiles and boats and motorcycles and everything you can think of.
Well,
So be prepared.
Well, we look forward to seeing them, George, and many years ahead.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that was a fantastic chat with the king of customizers, George Barris. Amazing that he's still customizing after all these years, and we wish him well, and we hope to see some more of his interesting projects. Next week on The Carport, we'll meet Candy Clark, star of American Graffiti. For The Carport, I'm Michael Clark. Would you like to have your vehicle featured on The Carport? Send us an email, shawtvwinnipeg@shaw.ca.